Hey, question. What the hell ever happened to Furry Network and Weasel? Do people still use those? Hey y'all, it's Mex. We're gonna take things real wheezy today with just some more fun little pieces of furry ephemera, obscure memes, obscure references from eras of the fandom long past. These are just some random things I've dug up, and by the way, if one that you think should be in here isn't listed, I highly recommend checking out the other 2 videos I did on this same topic. Just a quick note here, I do this in addition to my full-time job, so videos can sometimes take a while. But if I started getting more pledges on Patreon or members here on YouTube, I'd be able to bust out more videos more often for y'all. And heck, might even have time for members and patron exclusive videos. That'd be pretty cool. But as always, you'll get to see all these videos a couple days before everyone else for just a few quarters a month. So if you can swing that, I absolutely encourage you to go to my Patreon and check it out. Check out all the perks. And for patrons, make sure to subscribe via your browser or PC. Do not get swindled by Apple, please. The Patreon link is in the description. Anyways, let's get started.
Let me tell you a little bit about myself.
Fur affinity identifier profiles. Okay, so this one I'm actually surprised I didn't really touch on because I actually talked about it briefly in a previous video that wasn't related to this. So there's this thing on FA. It used to be a lot more widely known when FA was kind of the quote-unquote social network of the fandom. So FA identifier profiles are basically the only reason they were even made is so somebody could have an icon on their profile that represents an identity or a subculture that they're also involved in, a couple of which I'm showing on screen right now. But yeah, it was just basically a unique way for you to share your interests, and that's the only reason the profile even existed. And some of these aged more poorly than others, I'll admit.
Oh no, sire, you can't be serious.
All right. We'll talk about pounce.org. I actually made a few friends off of here back in like 2009, 2010. So yeah, I'm relatively familiar with Pounced. I haven't obviously used it in a long time, so everything is just all through memory right now. But yeah, this website is kind of infamous for being one of the first furry personals site, which later on, I guess, got replaced with FurryMate as like the standard. But here's the problem, guys. You have to pay money to FurryMate to be able to even use your DM system. Like, come on, really? You're gonna paywall that shit and act like it's better? Pounce.org was the shit for this because it was free. And it seems the prime reasoning for the website failing or having to close was because of a bill called FOSTA, or Stop Online Trafficking Act, something like that. Yeah, it's sad to see Pounced kind of went offline because of this. But, I mean, I can also understand why it went offline because of this, but again, there's other sites that are running just fine, like FurryMate and Furfling, and why aren't those affected by FOSTA? Like, that's kind of weird. So on March 23rd, 2018, the website went offline because of FOSTA, and on May 3rd, 2018, Pounced actually went back online with new registrations and searching disabled. This was only to give users a chance to export all of their information and profile off of the site. Pounce.org staff announced that it would shut down servers, cease their services, and delete user data on July 1st, 2018 due to FOSTA. Sometime in 2018, however, a new Pounced website went online. The website seemed to be a relaunch of Pounce.org under a new URL of Pounce.us, but was under a completely different owner. But at some point during 2022, Pounce.us also shut down for unknown reasons. And that's the story of Pounce.org, a furry personal site started in 2007 and ended in roughly 2018, and did for free what FurryMate does now for a charge. Upon further reading from a Flera blog, it sounds like almost like dram shop laws, the way that this was interpreted. So the sex trafficking bill was basically created to allow abuse victims to sue the website that they met their abuser on. Similar to how if somebody drives drunk and hits you or your business or your house or something, you can sue the place that sold them the alcohol which got them to that point. You know, so that's called dram shop laws. And yeah, this was very similar. So yeah, I can see both sides of the argument here for sure. And it is a bit of a touchy subject. subject, and I'm not, of course, not going to speak on behalf of abuse victims or anything here, but that does make sense why Pounce.org basically had their hand forced and basically had to shut down in order to protect themselves. I mean, it's not like the website was making bank or anything. They probably couldn't afford to settle. For the record, this is also why Craigslist shut down its personal ads section as well. And I guess the rabbit hole goes a little deeper here too, because this also goes into like the verbiage of whether or not this would be sex trafficking if Pounce.org allowed two people to hook up for a fling. Of course, Pounce.org doesn't have their hands on, each individual person's actions on this website. So yeah, I can definitely see where the controversy comes into play here, because this is a bit of a rough spot for Pounce.org to be in, and it's definitely bordering on one of those bills that's almost like the porn ban that people have been talking about, that's probably never going to go anywhere because it flies in the face of the First Amendment. But yeah, it's definitely a pretty deep subject that requires a lot more thought and a meaningful conversation, and it's kind of one of those gray area depending on where your own moral compass stands, I guess. You know what, I actually went into this with very little context. I thought Pounce.org just became irrelevant over time. This actually turned out to be quite fucking fascinating, if I can be honest. Maybe this needs a full video. So this one's actually not all that old, but it's old for me because I went to MFF 2010 to 2014 because I was a local, and then I moved out of the state, and then I didn't actually return to the convention until end of 2023. But flying into Midway was kind of the strat when you were a fursuiter, because Southwest didn't service O'Hare until 2021. Yeah, you had to fly into Midway and get like an Uber or something from Midway to the hotel, or there actually was a shuttle that could take you from Midway to the O'Hare, and then you take another shuttle from the O'Hare to the Hyatt Regency. But so, funny story, the only time I ever flew to MFF was when I lived in Florida in 2014, and I flew up from Tampa. I got in that plane in shorts, not recognizing that while it's 67 degrees in Florida, it's like 27 in Chicago, and I actually could not change pants until I landed. So I got out of that plane, it was like 27 degrees and I'm wearing shorts and a short sleeve t-shirt, so whoopsies. But yeah, it was 22 miles from Midway to O'Hare, and you had to factor that in when you were to fly out here. I remember I just decided to be lazy and book a cab in 2014 for both, and oh my god, I cannot tell you how much money I spent on that, guys. I guess it's a moot point now, since literally Southwest decided they're not going to do the free check bag shit anymore. So yeah, I guess we're going to be flying into O'Hare via Delta or American Airlines now, whatever. All right, so the lore with FurBuy is pretty deep and is stored on a lot of deleted Twitter posts. So basically, in a nutshell, the concept of FurBuy was eBay, but for furries. So the management of this website switched hands multiple times, but it seems to have been done all on the same server. So bear with me, I'm not as privy to this kind of terminology. So I took only like one course of computer engineering, guys, bear with me. Okay, so there was some security researcher that was assessing FurBuy's database for breaches, and FurBuy had to perform an emergency shutdown to recover from a freeze on the database triggered by the security researcher's access to the database. However, the researcher claimed they did not access the database, but said that somebody using the vulnerability they found would be able to do so. The site owners, however, disagreed with this. Now, the server being down for such a long period of time caused the hardware, obviously, to have issues. Now, there was no backup for the website during this time because the longtime sysadmin for the website, Modrol, passed away in August of 2018. This unfortunately corrupted the disk volume, and while they attempted to repair it to the best of their ability, this unfortunately was not recoverable and the damage was done. What led to people leaving FurBuy and turning their backs on them, though, was how FurBuy, instead of owning what they did wrong and that mistakes were made, they instead doubled down, defending their actions and saying that the EU's regulations don't have jurisdiction over them, and basically making excuses for the whole thing, which caused most furries to flock elsewhere. But yeah, basically, FurBuy wanted to pretend that they were a responsible website. They weren't. Twitter wanted to pretend it was actually useful or meaningful. It isn't. I mean, I tried to open FurBuy.com while making this video, but I literally could not actually get the page to load, so.
Shut your mouth.
Okay, so I recorded a segment and actually fully edited it on a meme from the fandom called Veggie Dogs, but I'm actually going to leave that out because I feel like it borders a little too close to furry drama. Yeah, guys, we don't talk about furry drama here, and let me go ahead and just make a note here. There's a couple of events that people have asked me to talk about in this video series more than a couple of times. I'm going to go ahead and make it clear I will not be talking about them. And those topics are Tumbles the Stair Dragon and Rocco the Balcony Fox. And here's why I'm not going to talk about those. Because I do not feel it is fair to bring up in commentary style an event where somebody had a mental health crisis. So no, we're not bringing those up. I'm sure those people want the fandom to forget about those. So this is why I don't bring up drama and stuff in general, is because I don't want to stir the pot of something that happened a long time ago that might paint somebody in a negative light. You want to know something wholesome that just kind of has been lost to time over time? DJ Misha Fane. Do y'all remember this dude's music? If you don't, you surely have seen one of those furry AMVs with the art compilation, and it most likely had his music playing in the background. Yeah, DJ Misha actually kind of made bangers, and as a matter of fact, he actually one time put up, hey, if you submit to me like some game music or something, I will remix it for you. And so I sent him Hot Air Skyway from Crash Team Racing, and this is actually what he made for me. Not gonna lie, kind of a banger. But yeah, Misha Fane still makes music, by the way. Go check out his FA.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Guys, I don't know nothing about this comic. I've actually been requested to talk about this comic, but once again, I know nothing about these because they were not the era I was from. I'll probably dig a little deeper and put these in a future video, but yeah, Furpiled and Omaha. These were last minute replacement, and I'm only putting them in here for member berries, and maybe we'll talk about them a little more in depth next time.
Super technology.
So, y'all remember when furry webcomics were like this big thing? I want to actually shout out a couple that are still going to this day. One is called Jack. This comic deals with some really heavy subjects, but is like extremely well written, and it's about a green rabbit named Jack, who's basically the Grim Reaper, and he has to deal with people's like thoughts and turmoils as they face death. It deals with things like sin and things like that. It's a really fascinating comic. It's very graphic and very hard to like. If you are squeamish, it can be a little rough at times. But I do remember really liking Jack. And another one is House Pets, which is quite the opposite. It's just fucking wholesome. Like, yeah, I just checked. House Pets is still going even to this day, but it's a lot more wholesome, I would say, than Jack. Jack is if you really want like an emotional gut punch, and I remember my favorite Jack comic being one called It's Like Cancer. See if you can find that in his archive. It's from, I think, 2004. And of course, House Pets. House Pets is just funny and wholesome and really cute, so I highly recommend these two comics.
There I am, Gary, there I am.
All right, we're gonna switch gears here to a couple of music videos actually that featured actual fursuiters in them from back in the late 2000s, early 2010s. One of them is called Higher Than the Stars by The Pains of Being Pure at Heart. Not gonna lie, this song is absolute fire, and this video is actually a lot more respectful than a lot of, you know, the mainstream media was towards furries at the time, so this is actually relatively tame. On the other paw, we got
Look at us, we're beautiful. All the people push and
As much as I love this Moby song, I cannot fully endorse this video because it's just basically going with the CSI Miami type tropes, you know? I can't say I support this one, though the song is also kind of a banger, not gonna lie.
Tiger.
Alright, how about something really stupid to follow that up? Okay, in about November or early December 2015, a bunch of furries on Twitter, for some reason, I don't know if a new ad launched or something, I haven't really dug deep into it, started sending the official Tony the Tiger Twitter account furry porn of the recognizable character. After about a month and a half, 2 months of being harassed nonstop by furries, being sent furry porn, and being sent extremely lewd tweets, Tony the Tiger actually had to make a public response on Twitter asking furries to please lay off and try to keep things family friendly. Oh, but the wild shit doesn't even stop there, because then Chester Cheetah comes in and starts actually entertaining the furries' advances and actually validates them. This was probably one of the weirdest viral Twitter moments I've ever seen in the furry fandom, and it was so unprecedented that a bunch of mainstream news sources started getting a hold of this and started publishing articles about it. You know, some being a little more respectful to furries that are just shitposting on the internet than others. Yeah, I had to bring this one up because this is absolutely a goldmine that belongs in this video, and I do not want time to not be kind to this. I want us to remember this amazing Tony the Tiger versus furries interaction from 2015. It was amazing. I'm just gonna go ahead and take a little shot here. If you think Tony the Tiger porn is objectionable in any way, maybe you should look up a little bit of information about John Harvey Kellogg and his beliefs and tell me that his name on the company isn't a little bit morally objectionable. I mentioned in a previous video, 10-15 years ago, there was no real tried and true method to cleaning a suit. There was just some ways worked better than others. You ask 100 furries how they clean their fursuit, you would get 200 different answers. Well, there was a trend that was pretty common back in the day, and it became memed because you could kind of tell right away. Some furries used to use Febreze fabric spray in order to disinfect their suit. Now, I can't say whether or not this worked, but it left a very distinct chemical smell on the suit, and this became kind of a meme in the fandom at some point. Like, fursuits that look less maintained or less clean would be categorized as people who use Febreze as their cleaning tool for cleaning the suit. And yeah, before green machines really became kind of the standard, while there was really no official way to clean your suit back then, and usually people would just improvise whatever they could, this was generally seen as one of the more don't do this kind of methods.
One day I'll be popular.
And finally, I found an absolute gold mine. I had to dig deep in my memory for this one. Popufur.com. Whoa there, calm down, buddy. You think the fandom is cynical now? I have mentioned time and time again the fandom used to be so much worse 10 to 15 years ago. Popufur.com, previously known as the Fur Affinity Ranking or FA Rank, is a still running stats aggregation website for basically how you rank on FA in terms of relative popularity using a very complex algorithm, usually based off of page views, number of interactions with your art, as well as cumulative watchers. I'm not gonna lie, I used to look at this thing. I used to check to see where I ranked back when I tried to be an FA artist, and which tells you how much I actually cared about art rather than, you know, getting popular on the internet at the time. Come on guys, I was really young and didn't know any better. Please forgive me. And you want to talk about dated memes? Leaving the fandom was a meme from that time. So on the main page of FA Rank before it became Popufur.com was a counter at the bottom of the page that read, so far, X number of people have left the fandom because of this site. I actually remember this, and upon reading this, unlocked that core memory. Holy shit, that was a fucking experience. And with that, I'm gonna have to thank all of you guys for watching this far. For those of y'all that watched to the end, let me know what some things that you remember from the fandom that, you know, aren't talked about anymore. Leave those down in the comments, and while you're down there, go ahead and drop a like on this video because it helps the algorithm as well, and drop a subscribe. But if you feel really compelled, I also have a Patreon link in the description as well, and you can also join as a member here. Members and patrons get to see these videos 24 to 48 hours in advance. They gain access to a private Discord and Telegram server, and those are just some of the minimal benefits. If you go all the way up to the maximum tier, you get short requests and a guaranteed spot in collaboration episodes such as album exchanges, year-end countdowns, etc. But if you're not able to swing a monthly fee right now, I completely understand. Everyone's trying to do that right now, and I'm just doing this kind of as a side hustle. And if y'all are just enjoying the videos that I put out, then I'm totally fine with that. Look forward to seeing y'all again in the next video. Take it wheezy.